Welcome farmers, this is day number 8 and the topic is why broilers suddenly stop eating. See, when broilers stop eating, it's almost never random. It doesn't just happen by chance. Birds don't wake up and decide, you know what, get sharp, I'm not going to eat. The feed intake drops because something changed in the birds. The birds react before you even notice. By day 8, growth is so rapid and fast, so any interruption shows quickly and abruptly. Number 1 is to understand that most feed drops are caused by stress and not feed. So what farmers assume is that probably bad feed. The birds aren't enjoying this feed, so I'm going to change the brand. But what could really be happening is that there's a change in temperature, there's a draft or poor airflow, there's been noise or mishandling or stress that's been induced to the birds, and there's also possibly water shortages or water problems. Now how birds respond to the stress by reducing movement, they reduce their eating and they start conserving their energy. Second point as to why birds stop eating is that water problems stops the feed first. Simple truth, no water equals no food intake. Birds aren't thirsty, birds don't eat. So what happens is that drinkers are blocked or there's leakages, the water pressure changes, and the water pressure is low, the water is warm or dirty. This results in birds who won't visit the feed as much often, who won't eat as often, and will often just walk away from the drinkers. And a real life warning is that farmers should check their feed first, but the problem is often the water. Third point as to why your birds would stop eating is that there's either a hot or cold shock that can shut down the bird's appetite. Number 1, let's look at cold stress. When birds are stressed due to the cold, they huddle together. The feed they use for warmth instead of growth, and they have less appetite because they're trying to conserve the energy and the resources they have. When birds are under heat stress, the birds will pant, meaning they'll breathe with their mouths open, they'll stop eating, and they'll be drinking much more water than anticipated, which results in a less or poor conversion of the feed. Now, real life warning is that even a few hours of temperature shock can reduce the bird's daily intake. So what should you do? Pay attention to the sudden changes that confuse the broilers. Is that feed texture might change, the feeding time might have changed, the light schedule might have changed, and birds are confused, they hesitate, they intake drops because they don't know, there's no regularity or pattern or a certain amount of routine that's been involved. And this will ultimately lead to point number 5, which is disease is rarely the first cause at day number 8. The important thing is that disease usually comes after the stress. So the bird stress and then they result in disease. Kind of like your body. Before you get it flu, your body goes under stress and then the flu kicks in. So stressed birds equals to weakened birds, and then the disease takes advantage of the stress. Now, why this hurts your pocket? When food intake drops, slower growth, birds never fully recover till the last day, and this poor conversion of feed. Now, one bad day can cost you about 2 to 3 days of recovery, and it equals a lower final weight on the days towards your slaughter. So what should you do on day number 8 if the birds stop eating? Check your water first, regulate your temperature, look for recent changes in the bird's behavior, and pay attention to the birds, isolate the small ones from the big ones, and maintain a regular pattern when it comes to feeding your birds. In one sentence, broilers don't stop eating because something is wrong. No, that's because I have a free checklist that you can follow each and every day that will guide you from day 1 to day number 42 of ensuring your bird's growth and you have a success of your cycle. I've also created a ebook that will help you raise your broilers from day 1 to day 42. It's called Broiler Gems. This will aid you in succeeding with each and every cycle. Take advantage of this opportunity and click on the link in the description to get access to the free checklist. See you in the next video. So day number 8, I'm just going to show you how I feed the birds. I created this makeshift feeder because the birds were eating much more and I don't really have the time to keep frequenting the coop time and time again. So I decided to make this makeshift feeder that kind of saves me time and also ensures that the birds are fed throughout. You know, there's nothing as stressful as seeing an empty feeder or an empty drinker. Oh my gosh, because by the time you realize that the feeder or the drinker is empty, the birds have gone possibly for, who knows, God knows how long they've been out without food or water. And this is Einstein being very inquisitive. What is this thing? Wondering, pecking at it. So I made this thing, this feeder from old 5-liter buckets, where basically I just made, my holes were a bit too big, so the feed was overflowing, so I had to kind of make them smaller again, I guess, just so that the feed doesn't flow out too much. So this is me with the feed, and I think I have a picture I'm going to show where sometimes the feed is not as crummy. It's still in pellet form, so the birds won't eat it, and it's up to you to maybe just grind it using your fingers, and if not, leave it there, and as the birds grow they'll start to chew on something more solid, which is like pellets. It actually prepares them for when they start eating the broiler, because from week 1 to 2 they're still starting off, so they're still doing their starter feed, and they will do so up until week number 2 ends, or when your feed ends basically. So yeah, find the link in the description of the free download, the checklist I use. This will help you make sure that you know what you do each and every day. No guesswork involved, just a simple checklist, to-do list for you to follow each and every day. And if you want to take your journey to the next level, I have an ebook that I've created that will help you from small farming to large farming, from spending a small investment to a large return, saving you much money and much time, much worry and stress. The booklet is a 30-day guide that gives you practical tips on how to start your chicks from day 0 up until completion. So if you want that information, the link is in the description. I'll see you in day number 9.